You've worked your entire life. Every paycheck, year after year, decade after decade, a portion went to Social Security. You paid in faithfully, without question, trusting that when your time came, that safety net would be there for you. And it is. You're receiving your Social Security benefits right now, or you're about to start. That monthly check represents the culmination of a lifetime of work, and you've earned every single dollar of it. But here's something that might surprise you, perhaps even frustrate you. The Social Security system is incredibly complex, filled with rules, strategies, and options that the average person simply doesn't know about. And because of this complexity, because of how little guidance most people receive when they file, millions of retirees are receiving hundreds of dollars less each month than they could be. Not because they didn't pay in enough, not because they don't qualify, but simply because they don't know about certain forms, certain strategies, certain benefits that are available to them. What if I told you that there's a specific form, a form that many Social Security representatives won't even mention unless you ask about it directly, that could add $400, $500, or even $600 to your monthly Social Security check? A form that unlocks benefits you've already paid for, benefits you're entitled to, benefits that are yours by right, but that millions of retirees never claim simply because they don't know they exist. This isn't a loophole. This isn't gaming the system. This is claiming what's rightfully yours, what you've earned, what you're entitled to under Social Security law. But the system is designed in such a way that you have to know what to ask for. You have to understand which forms to file. You have to be aware of strategies that can significantly increase your monthly income. Today, I'm going to share with you one of the most powerful yet least known Social Security strategies available to certain retirees. I'm going to explain exactly what this form is, who qualifies for it, how much additional money it could put in your pocket every single month, and most importantly, how to file for it correctly so you don't miss out on benefits you deserve. This information could be worth thousands of dollars annually to you. It could mean the difference between struggling to make ends meet and living comfortably. It could transform your retirement from financially stressful to financially secure. So I encourage you to pay close attention, take notes if needed, and understand that what I'm about to share could genuinely change your financial situation for the better. Let's talk about Social Security spousal benefits and a specific strategy that can dramatically increase your monthly income. A strategy that requires one particular form that most people have never heard of. Here's what you need to understand first. Social Security isn't just about your own work record and your own benefits. If you're married, divorced after at least 10 years of marriage, or widowed, you may be entitled to benefits based on your spouse's or ex-spouse's work record, even if you've never worked yourself, or even if you have your own benefits. These are called spousal benefits, survivor benefits, or divorced spouse benefits, and they can be substantial. Here's where it gets interesting, and where that one form becomes so important. Many people don't realize that you can often choose between taking your own benefits or taking spousal benefits, and the timing of when you claim each type can make an enormous difference in how much money you receive over your lifetime. Let me give you a real example that demonstrates the power of understanding this strategy. Margaret is 66 years old and eligible for $1,200 monthly based on her own work record. Her husband, John, is 70 and receives $2,800 monthly from Social Security. Margaret could simply file for her own $1,200 benefit and be done with it. That's what most people do, and that's what Social Security representatives often guide people toward because it's simple and straightforward. But here's what Margaret doesn't know unless someone tells her. As a spouse, she's entitled to a spousal benefit equal to 50% of John's full retirement age benefit. In this case, that's approximately $1,400 per month, which is $200 more than her own benefit. By filing for spousal benefits instead of her own, Margaret immediately increases her monthly income by $200, which is $2,400 annually, just by knowing to ask for the right benefit and filing the right form. But it gets even better. If Margaret waits until age 70 to claim her own benefit instead of taking it now at 66, her benefit will grow by 8% per year due to delayed retirement credits. By age 70, her own benefit would increase from $1,200 to approximately $1,600 per month. So the optimal strategy for Margaret is to claim spousal benefits now at $1,400 monthly, let her own benefit grow for 4 years, then switch to her own benefit at $1,600 when she turns 70. This strategy puts an extra $200 in her pocket immediately and positions her for even more income in the future. Now here's the critical part, the part about that one form. To execute this strategy, Margaret must file SSA 25, the application for spousal benefits. This is a separate form from the standard retirement application. It specifically requests spousal benefits and allows you to claim those benefits while delaying your own. Most people filing for Social Security never see this form. They file the standard application, which typically defaults to your own benefits, and they miss out on potentially thousands of dollars. This strategy is particularly powerful for divorced individuals who may not even realize they're entitled to benefits based on their ex-spouse's record. If you were married for at least 10 years, you're currently unmarried, and your ex-spouse is entitled to Social Security benefits, you can claim divorced spouse benefits even if your ex-spouse hasn't filed yet, as long as both of you are at least 62. Let me give you another example. Robert divorced his wife after 15 years of marriage. He's been receiving his own Social Security benefit of $1,500 monthly since age 66. He has no idea that his ex-wife had a very successful career, and her Social Security benefit at full retirement age was $3,200. Robert is entitled to divorced spouse benefits equal to 50% of his ex-wife's full retirement age benefit, which is $1,600, $100 more than his own. But Robert never filed for divorced spouse benefits because nobody told him he could. He didn't know about SSA 25 or that he could potentially receive more based on his ex-spouse's record. He's been leaving $100 on the table every single month, which is $1,200 annually, simply because he didn't know to file the right form and ask for the right benefit. Now let's talk about an even more substantial strategy involving survivor benefits, benefits available to widows and widowers that could add $500, $600, or even more to monthly income. When your spouse passes away, you're entitled to 100% of what your deceased spouse was receiving or would have been entitled to receive. This is different from spousal benefits, which max out at 50%. Survivor benefits give you the full amount. And here's the powerful strategy that requires specific knowledge and the right form. You can choose to take survivor benefits first while letting your own benefit grow, or you can take your own benefit first while letting survivor benefits grow. The strategy you choose depends on which benefit is higher and when you need the income. Let me illustrate with an example. Linda is 62 and her husband just passed away. He was receiving $2,600 monthly from Social Security. Linda's own benefit at age 62 would be $1,100, but if she waits until 70, it would grow to $1,600. Here are her options, and this is where understanding which form to file becomes crucial. Option 1, Linda files for her own reduced benefit now at $1,100 and switches to full survivor benefits at her full retirement age, which would be $2,600. Option 2, Linda files for reduced survivor benefits now at approximately $2,200, reduced because she's claiming before her full retirement age, and switches to her own benefit at age 70 when it reaches $1,600. Option 3, Linda delays both benefits and files for full survivor benefits at her full retirement age of 67, receiving $2,600. The optimal strategy in Linda's case is option 2. By filing for survivor benefits now, even though they're reduced, she receives $2,200 immediately. She lets her own benefit grow for 8 years, and at age 70, she evaluates whether to switch to her own benefit or continue with survivor benefits. If her own benefit has grown to more than what she's receiving in survivor benefits, she switches. If not, she stays with survivor benefits. This strategy maximizes her income both now and in the future.
But here's the critical part. To execute this strategy, Linda must file SSA 10,
the application for widows or widowers benefits. This is a different form from the standard retirement application. It specifically addresses survivor benefits and allows you to claim those benefits while preserving your option to switch to your own benefits later, when they've grown larger. Most widows and widowers who walk into a Social Security office or call the helpline are simply told to file for benefits, and they're guided through the standard application process. Unless they specifically ask about survivor benefit strategies and the option to file for one benefit while delaying the other, they may never be told about SSA 10 or the opportunity to maximize their income through strategic timing. Let's talk about another form that can add substantial money to your monthly check if you're divorced. SSA 2, the application for divorced spouse benefits. This form is specifically designed for individuals claiming benefits based on an ex-spouse's record if they meet certain criteria. You must have been married for at least 10 years, you must be currently unmarried, you must be at least 62, and your ex-spouse must be entitled to Social Security benefits. You don't need your ex-spouse's permission, you don't need to be in contact with them, you don't even need to inform them. These are your benefits based on your own marriage history. Here's a powerful example. Susan divorced her husband after 12 years of marriage. She remarried briefly, but has been unmarried for the past several years. She's been receiving her own Social Security benefit of $1,300 monthly. What Susan doesn't know is that her first husband, to whom she was married for 12 years, has a much higher Social Security benefit of $3,400 monthly. Susan is entitled to divorced spouse benefits equal to 50% of her ex-husband's full retirement age benefit, which is $1,700. That's $400 more per month than she's currently receiving. By filing SSA 2 and requesting a review of whether divorced spouse benefits would be higher than her own, Susan could increase her monthly income by $400, which is $4,800 annually for the rest of her life. But Susan would never know this unless she specifically researched divorced spouse benefits or asked a Social Security representative to review her eligibility. The system doesn't automatically check whether you'd receive more based on an ex-spouse's record. You have to know to ask, and you have to file the specific form that requests this review. Now let's talk about file and suspend, a strategy that was largely eliminated in 2016, but that still applies to certain individuals who were born before January 2, 1954. If you fall into this category, you have access to a strategy that younger retirees don't, and it requires filing SSA 11, a specific request form. Under the old rules, individuals born before January 2, 1954, who reached full retirement age before April 30, 2016, were able to file a restricted application for spousal benefits only while letting their own benefits continue growing. This is called Deemed Filing Restriction Exemption, and it's incredibly valuable. Here's how it works. Thomas is 68 and was born in 1953. His wife is already receiving Social Security benefits of $2,400 monthly. Thomas's own benefit is currently $1,800, but if he waits until 70, it will grow to $2,200. Because Thomas was born before the cutoff date, he can file a restricted application, SSA 11, claiming only spousal benefits at $1,200, or 50% of his wife's full retirement age benefit, while letting his own benefit grow. At age 70, he switches to his own larger benefit of $2,200. This strategy allows Thomas to receive $1,200 monthly for 2 years while his own benefit grows. That's $28,800 in income he wouldn't have received if he had simply waited until 70 to file. Then, at 70, he switches to his larger benefit. This strategy maximizes both immediate income and long-term benefit amount. But to execute this strategy, Thomas must specifically file SSA 11, the restricted application, and clearly state that he's filing only for spousal benefits and not for his own retirement benefits. If he files the standard application, the system will automatically give him his own benefit, which is higher than the spousal benefit, and he'll lose the opportunity to use this strategy. Now let's talk about another often overlooked form that can increase benefits for those with young children, SSA 4, the application for child's benefits. Many retirees don't realize that if you have a child under 18 or under 19 if they're still in high school, or a child of any age who became disabled before age 22, that child may be entitled to benefits based on your Social Security record equal to 50% of your full retirement age benefit. These child benefits don't reduce your benefit at all. They're additional money on top of what you receive, and they can be substantial. If your full retirement age benefit is $2,000 and you have a 16-year-old child, that child could receive $1,000 monthly until they turn 18 or graduate high school. That's $12,000 annually in additional household income just by filing the right form. Many retirees who had children later in life or who have adopted children or grandchildren in their care don't realize these benefits exist. Social Security representatives don't always ask whether you have minor children, and if you don't mention it or file SSA-4, you could miss out on thousands of dollars in benefits your family is entitled to. Now let's discuss a form that applies to those who worked in jobs not covered by Social Security, such as certain government positions, and who may be subject to the windfall elimination provision or government pension offset. If you're affected by these provisions, SSA 308 allows you to request a detailed explanation of how your benefits were calculated and potentially appeal if you believe the calculation is incorrect. The windfall elimination provision reduces Social Security benefits for people who receive pensions from jobs where they didn't pay Social Security taxes. The government pension offset reduces spousal or survivor benefits for people who receive government pensions. Both provisions are complex, often misunderstood, and sometimes incorrectly applied. By filing SSA 308 and requesting a detailed review, you ensure that these provisions are being applied correctly to your situation. In some cases, the initial calculation is wrong, and a review can result in higher benefits. In other cases, understanding exactly how the calculation works allows you to make more informed decisions about when to claim benefits and which benefits to claim. Let me share some important practical steps for using these forms effectively to maximize your Social Security income. First, before you file any Social Security application, schedule an appointment with a Social Security representative specifically to discuss your full benefit options. Don't just walk in or call and say, "I want to file for benefits." Instead, say, "I want to review all my benefit options, including spousal benefits, divorced spouse benefits, survivor benefits, and any strategies that might maximize my lifetime income." Second, specifically ask whether you'd receive more based on a current or former spouse's record. The representative may not volunteer this information unless you ask directly. Say clearly, "I'd like to know whether my benefit based on my own record or a spousal benefit would be higher, and which forms I need to claim the higher benefit." Third, if you're widowed, specifically ask about survivor benefit strategies and whether it would be advantageous to claim survivor benefits now while delaying your own, or vice versa. Request Form SSA-10 and ask for guidance on the optimal timing strategy for your situation. Fourth, if you're divorced after at least 10 years of marriage, specifically ask about divorced spouse benefits and request that they check whether you'd receive more based on your ex-spouse's record. Request Form SSA-2 and provide your ex-spouse's name and Social Security number if you have it, though they can look this up if needed. Fifth, if you were born before January 2, 1954 and are approaching or past your full retirement age, specifically ask about restricted application strategies and whether you're eligible to file only for spousal benefits while letting your own grow. Request Form SSA-11 if this strategy applies to you. Sixth, ask for a detailed benefit estimate in writing that shows exactly how much you'd receive under different claiming scenarios. Request SSA 7004 to get your full Social Security statement showing your benefit at age 62, at full retirement age, and at age 70. Use this information to make informed decisions. Finally, don't accept the first answer you receive as definitive, especially if it seems like you're not getting complete information. Social Security representatives are generally helpful, but they're human, and the rules are incredibly complex. If something doesn't seem right, or you feel you're not getting full information, schedule a second appointment with a different representative or contact a Social Security expert for a second opinion.
Eighth, consider working with a certified financial planner who specializes in Social Security strategies or a Social Security claiming expert. These professionals understand all the nuances, forms, and strategies, and they can analyze your specific situation to recommend the optimal claiming strategy. The fee you pay for this expertise could be returned many times over through increased lifetime benefits. Now let's talk specifically about how much money these strategies can actually add to your monthly income and your lifetime benefits, because the numbers can be truly substantial. If you're eligible for spousal benefits that are higher than your own, you could be missing out on $200 to $600 per month, which is $2,400 to $7,200 annually. Over a 20-year retirement, that's $48,000 to $144,000 in total benefits you're leaving on the table by not filing the right form. If you're a widow or widower and you're not using the optimal survivor benefit strategy, you could be missing out on $300 to $800 monthly, which is $3,600 to $9,600 annually. Over a 25-year retirement, that's $90,000 to $120,000 in lost benefits. If you're divorced and entitled to benefits based on your ex-spouse's higher record, you could be missing out on $200 to $500 monthly, which is $2,400 to $6,000 annually. Over a retirement lasting 20 years, that's $48,000 to $120,000 you could have received but didn't because you didn't know to file the right form. These aren't small numbers. These aren't minor inconveniences. This is real money that could dramatically improve your quality of life throughout retirement. Money that's rightfully yours, that you've earned through your work history or your marriage, but that you'll never receive unless you know which forms to file and which questions to ask. Let me share some real stories of people who discovered these strategies and dramatically increased their Social Security income. Patricia was divorced after 14 years of marriage and had been receiving her own Social Security benefit of $1,400 monthly for 3 years. When she attended a free Social Security workshop at her local senior center, she learned about divorced spouse benefits for the first time. She filed SSA-2 and after review, discovered she was entitled to $1,850 monthly based on her ex-husband's record. Her monthly income increased by $450 simply by filing one form. That's $5,400 annually for the rest of her life, and she was able to receive retroactive payments for several months before she filed. Michael was a widower receiving his own Social Security benefit of $2,100 monthly. He had no idea he was entitled to survivor benefits based on his deceased wife's record. When he finally learned about this and filed SSA-10, he discovered that his survivor benefit would be $2,700, a full $600 more than what he was receiving. By filing the right form, Michael increased his monthly income by $600, which is $7,200 annually. Over his remaining lifetime, this one form will likely result in over $100,000 in additional benefits. Eleanor had been married for 11 years before divorcing. She had been receiving her own modest Social Security benefit of $980 monthly, struggling to make ends meet. When a friend told her she might be entitled to divorced spouse benefits, she visited her Social Security office and filed SSA-2. After review, she learned her ex-husband's benefit was substantial and she was entitled to $1,650 monthly based on his record. Her income increased by $670 per month, which transformed her financial situation from barely surviving to living comfortably. One form, filed because she learned about it from a friend, changed her entire retirement experience. These are not isolated stories. These are examples of what happens every day when people finally learn about the forms and strategies that have always been available to them, but that nobody bothered to explain clearly. Now, let me address some important timing considerations and deadlines that you need to be aware of to maximize these strategies. For spousal benefits, you must be at least 62 to claim them, but your spouse must have already filed for their own benefits in most cases. There are exceptions for divorced spouse benefits where your ex doesn't need to have filed yet, as long as you've been divorced at least 2 years. For survivor benefits, you can claim as early as age 60, though your benefit will be reduced if you claim before your full retirement age. If you're disabled, you may be able to claim survivor benefits as early as age 50. For restricted application strategies available to those born before January 2, 1954, you must be at least your full retirement age to use this strategy, and you must file before age 70 to get any benefit from delaying your own retirement benefits. For retroactive benefits, Social Security can pay retroactive benefits for up to 6 months for retirement benefits and up to 6 months for survivor benefits in certain circumstances. This means if you should have been receiving a higher benefit but didn't know to file the right form, you can potentially recover several months of missed payments. Let me be very clear about something important. These strategies aren't tricks or loopholes. These are legitimate benefits that Congress specifically included in Social Security law to protect spouses, widows, widowers, and divorced individuals. You have paid for these benefits through your taxes or earned them through your marriage, but that you'll never receive unless you know which forms to file and which questions to ask. Let me share some real stories of people who discovered these strategies and dramatically increased their Social Security income. Patricia was divorced after 14 years of marriage and had been receiving her own Social Security benefit of $1,400 monthly for 3 years. When she attended a free Social Security workshop at her local senior center, she learned about divorced spouse benefits for the first time. She filed SSA-2 and, after review, discovered she was entitled to $1,850 monthly based on her ex-husband's record. Her monthly income increased by $450 simply by filing one form. That's $5,400 annually for the rest of her life, and she was able to receive retroactive payments for several months before she filed. Michael was a widower receiving his own Social Security benefit of $2,100 monthly. He had no idea he was entitled to survivor benefits based on his deceased wife's record. When he finally learned about this and filed SSA-10, he discovered that his survivor benefit would be $2,700, a full $600 more than what he was receiving. By filing the right form, Michael increased his monthly income by $600, which is $7,200 annually. Over his remaining lifetime, this one form will likely result in over $100,000 in additional benefits. Eleanor had been married for 11 years before divorcing. She had been receiving her own modest Social Security benefit of $980 monthly, struggling to make ends meet. When a friend told her she might be entitled to divorced spouse benefits, she visited her Social Security office and filed SSA-2. After review, she learned her ex-husband's benefit was substantial, and she was entitled to $1,650 monthly based on his record. Her income increased by $670 per month, which transformed her financial situation from barely surviving to living comfortably. One form, filed because she learned about it from a friend, changed her entire retirement experience. These are not isolated stories. These are examples of what happens every day when people finally learn about the forms and strategies that have always been available to them, but that nobody bothered to explain clearly. Now, let me address some important timing considerations and deadlines that you need to be aware of to maximize these strategies. For spousal benefits, you must be at least 62 to claim them, but your spouse must have already filed for their own benefits in most cases. There are exceptions for divorced spouse benefits where your ex doesn't need to have filed yet as long as you've been divorced at least 2 years. For survivor benefits, you can claim as early as age 60, though your benefit will be reduced if you claim before your full retirement age. If you're disabled, you may be able to claim survivor benefits as early as age 50. For restricted application strategies available to those born before January 2, 1954, you must be at least your full retirement age to use this strategy, and you must file before age 70 to get any benefit from delaying your own retirement benefits. For retroactive benefits, Social Security can pay retroactive benefits for up to 6 months for retirement benefits and up to 6 months for survivor benefits in certain circumstances. This means if you should have been receiving a higher benefit but didn't know to file the right form, you can potentially recover several months of missed payments. Let me be very clear about something important. These strategies aren't tricks or loopholes. These are legitimate benefits that Congress specifically included in Social Security law to protect spouses, widows, widowers, and divorced individuals. You have paid for these benefits through your taxes or earned them through your marriage, but that you'll never receive unless you know which forms to file and which questions to ask. So here we are. I've shared with you the specific forms that can add $400, $500, or even $600 or more to your monthly Social Security check. SSA-25 for spousal benefits, SSA-10 for survivor benefits, SSA-2 for divorced spouse benefits, SSA 11 for restricted application strategies if you qualify, SSA 4 for child benefits, SSA 38 for detailed calculations and reviews. These forms exist. These strategies are legal and legitimate, and they could dramatically increase your Social Security income, potentially adding thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars to your lifetime benefits. But this only happens if you take action. The Social Security Administration isn't going to call you up and say, "Hey, we noticed you could be getting more money if you filed a different form." That's not how the system works. You have to advocate for yourself. You have to ask the right questions. You have to request the right forms. I encourage you strongly and sincerely to take action on this information. If you're already receiving Social Security, schedule an appointment with your local Social Security office specifically to review whether you're receiving all the benefits you're entitled to. Bring this information with you. Ask specifically about spousal benefits, divorced spouse benefits, and survivor benefits if applicable. Request the forms I've mentioned and ask for a complete review of your benefit options. If you haven't filed for Social Security yet, do not file without first getting professional guidance on the optimal claiming strategy for your situation. The decision of when to file and which benefits to claim is one of the most important financial decisions you'll make in retirement, and it deserves careful analysis, not a rushed decision at your local Social Security office. Consider consulting with a financial advisor who specializes in Social Security strategies. Yes, there may be a fee, but that fee could be returned many times over through optimized lifetime benefits. A few $100s for expert advice could result in tens of thousands of dollars in increased benefits over your lifetime. You've worked too hard and too long to leave money on the table. You've earned these benefits. They're yours. But you have to know to ask for them, and you have to file the right forms. Don't let complexity or lack of information cost you hundreds of dollars every single month for the rest of your retirement. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope this information has been genuinely helpful and eye-opening. Social Security is complicated, but it doesn't have to be mysterious. With the right knowledge and the right guidance, you can maximize your benefits and claim everything you're entitled to. Take action, schedule that appointment, ask those questions, file those forms, and secure the retirement income you've earned and deserve. You've got this, and I'm confident that taking these steps will make a real, meaningful difference in your financial security. All the best to you, and here's to claiming every dollar you're entitled to.